welcome to episode 22 of the Sheep and Cheerful podcast, a podcast all about knitting, sewing, crafting, anything really I can get my hands on, and living as cheerful a life as possible. My name is Nicky. I am your host and CEO of all things Sheep and Cheerful, and I will be with you for the next sort of hour or so-ish, sharing what I've been up to this past week. So it's, you're waiting now, aren't you? It's the 7th of October today. I wrote it down. I've got the date right. For those viewers who haven't watched before, I am spectacularly bad at getting the date wrong. Last week I announced that I knew I had it right. I was totally convinced I had it right. And then I got it wrong. When I was editing it, I was head in my hands. I'd got the date wrong. I'd brought us into October a day early. So apologies for last week. I am absolutely certain today is the 7th of October. I checked on my phone, I checked on the calendar, and I will be posting this on YouTube on Thursday the 8th of October. Oh, and I forgot to mute my phone. Excuse me a sec. I have that there because I have a picture I want to share with you in a little while. So yes, it's Wednesday the 7th of October 2020. I am in the UK, down on the south coast. I live here with my husband, my daughter, our daughter, who is studying at Zoom University at the moment. Although to be fair, she was living at home previously to the COVID thing. So, and our son Jonah, who is a trainee paramedic along the south coast, Portsmouth way. And can I just share with you, Joe's been training for 2 years. He's now third year student paramedic. And this last week, he has helped deliver 2 babies. He's had 2 years of nothing, no babies, as in. Last week he messaged us, said, I've just helped to deliver a baby. And yesterday he messaged us, said, another baby. That's 2 babies in a week that he has helped into the world. I did ask him whether he was in the business end or the head end. And I think, certainly for the most recent one, he said he was head end, having his hand crushed by the poor woman in labour. But he was there, hands-on helping, and it's so amazing to think that my little boy, who is, he's 25, but he's my little boy, and he's out there delivering babies. Who'd have thought, eh? Anyway, that's that. That's a little bit about me. Have I welcomed new viewers? Not sure, just in case I haven't. Welcome to anybody who's new, who's clicked on the video on YouTube for the first time. I hope you enjoy what you see in my little corner of the world. If you do give us a thumbs up, like, or even click subscribe if you're feeling daring. Those of you who have been viewers for a while now, welcome back. It's lovely to be chatting with you again. I do chat with a fair few of you on and off through the week anyway, either through Instagram or on the Ravelry Group, or email even, but it's still nice to have you all there. If you want to get hold of me, I am Clara Peggotty on Instagram. I am Clara Peggotty on Ravelry. There's a Ravelry podcast group called Sheep and Cheerful Podcast. No prizes there. And you can also email me if you would like any questions or queries, or if you want to volunteer any prizes or giveaways for the podcast, then you can send me an email and I will put all those details in the description box below so that you can keep a note of those there. Just on the podcast group on Ravelry, it's a lovely group. I say it every week. Do jump in, do go and join in. Say hi in the introduction thread. We've got, it's a really lovely chattery group. Don't feel worried about jumping in if you're new. Everybody is really friendly. We've got a couple of make-alongs going on. We have our Scrappy Blanket Adventures, which is a joint make-along that I'm doing. So just crossing my legs there, and it looked like I was on a boat. Mustn't cackle. Note to self, don't cackle. Yes, I'm doing a joint make-along with my lovely friend Cherie, who is of the Ollie and Bella podcast, or Ollie and Bella on Instagram. She had a little break from podcasting, but she's back now, and we are doing this joint Scrappy Blanket Adventures, and we still haven't managed to work out quite how we're going to give away the prizes, but we will do. So, you know, the longer you have to wait, the more the excitement builds. That's what I say. And then I've also got the Christmas Bauble along, make-along running. We've got that starting to warm up a bit as the days tick by. We've got a few people who are now adding to that. I started it early to give us all plenty of time to dip in with 1 or 2 Christmas ornaments. So if you want to make any sort of Christmas decoration that can hang, so from the Christmas tree, from a garland, from a door handle, anything like that, it's got to be so, you know, reasonable size. Do jump in there, share your pattern with us, or at least what you're going to be making, and then when you've finished, pop a picture in the finished object thread, and that's running till the 12th of December. The amazing ones, I mean, there are some lovely little decorations going on, but a few people are knitting little miniature socks as an advent garland. Oh, they look so cool. Really made me want to do that, but I have quite a few things on the go at the moment, so I'm thinking maybe not. If I started knitting them in January and I did 2 little socks every month, I would have enough for, well, I'd have to knit an extra 2, wouldn't I, because December wouldn't count because they need to go up December the 1st. Haha, you thought I was going to miss that. I nearly did. And they're only like, there's plenty of little baby, I mean, there's advent stocking patterns, obviously, but there's, Kay Jones has the Bookmark for Dobby pattern, which is just a little mini sock. And there seems to be lots around. That might be a thing to do. Could be fun. Who knows? Anyway, that's that. What else have I said? So they're the make-alongs, and that's about it, really. I will just share with you briefly what I'm wearing today because it is a hand knit. I'm going to have to stand up because I'm still trying to get the camera in a good position for the light at the moment. But you are now being treated to my beautiful notice board of all the cards and gifts and all sorts that my knitting friends have sent me over the years, which is really lovely. But the cardigan I am knitting is the mix and match. No, the cardigan I am wearing is the mix and match sweater by Mina Philipp, who is knitting Expat Designs. Hang on, let me go up on, let's lift this up. So it's quite a long cardigan. It's a really easy, comfortable wear. And what I've done, you can see I have striped here. So, and this yarn, can you see? I've got, right, so these colours are colours that I naturally dyed a couple of years ago when I was doing some natural yarn dyeing. I had a little shop for a while. And I dyed these. This yarn is a worsted weight yarn. So this is obviously undyed. And this was from Ravelry Wool, Christine, who I did some work with. We had great fun. Hang on, let's get it straight. Oh, I'm doing it the wrong way again. And it's a lovely, this is from an organic flock of sheep. So it's a single, I think this is a single flock yarn. And it's a really woolly wool. I also think it's woolen spun. So it's really, really lovely, and you can see how beautiful it took the dye. So this is natural dye. So this was a Saxon blue. I used natural dye. Sorry, I know my head's off the top here. I used natural dye concentrates rather than actual plants. But let me sit down again. It's such a comfy cardigan. It's so nice to wear. Oh, yeah, sorry, just adjust myself. It's such a lovely throw-on cardigan, and the way Mina designed the pattern was, hence the name, mix and match. So you can decide whether you make it, now what were the options? I know there's a dipped hem or a straight hem for the back. There's a different shawl. I think there might be a shawl collar or just a plain button band. There's various options, so you can decide on how you want to put it together. Let me sit over here. That's, oh, lordy me. And so it really is a good pattern to have. I mean, this would be the sort of cardigan that would be nice to have a few of, but just in different colours, really. But check out Christine's yarn, Rowak wool. She does natural dyed yarn. In fact, I think she might be stopping that. But she does beautiful colours now. The shop is based in Munich, but she does ship obviously to the UK. But also there are a few shops, Wild and Woolly in London, stock her yarn, as do Yak Yarn and Knitting in Brighton. I'm not sure where else, but you can certainly order it online. And it's a heavy DK come worsted weight yarn, really, so it will adapt. But yeah, really lovely cardigan, really good for the day when, like today, it just keeps getting hot and cold. Or I keep getting hot and cold. And so it's like cardigan off, cardigan on. I went upstairs earlier and I got my snuggle down cowl out, and I got a knitted headband that I was going to wear, and I was all tuckled up in the kitchen and I got really hot, so I'm peeling everything off, but there you go. Anyway, on with some knitting. I'm a little bit sniffy. I'll try not to sniff. Sorry about that. It's all allergies. It's nothing sinister. Right, so let's start with some FOs. Now, my first FO is going to be a woven one. Another tea towel is finished and off the loom. And it is the, what do I want to say, the fraternal twin. So if you remember last week, I showed you this one, which has now had, you can see it's now got my tag on it, just about there. So I made this one. I had some yarn, when I ordered this, I hadn't done the calculations to how much yarn it would take. So I had some left over. So I made a second one. And I put blue in this one. Now, I've posted these on Instagram, so you may well have seen them on Instagram, but oh, there you go. So quite a nice size as well. Really, so pretty. So pretty. These are going away to someone, and I kind of wish they weren't because I really like them. And this was made with Scapia's Katona 4-ply cotton, and for those of you interested in weaving, I used a 12.5 dent heddle, and which means that basically the dent size of the heddle is like knitting with a larger needle or a smaller needle, so it depends what fabric you want. And I wanted a fairly sort of thick tea towel, so I chose a fine heddle. So the warp fibres would lie closer together. Do you get that? And there's my tag again. There we go. So when I weave for people, or by commission, or sometimes as gifts, but not always, I do it under my little business name, which is Clara Peggotty Weaving. So hence the tags. That kind of makes sense, really, doesn't it? So anyway, 2 really pretty tea towels, all done. I have ordered more yarn, of course I have, because I'm a bit hooked on making these now. So I'm going to start making some just generally, possibly for gifts. I've ordered a whole variety of colours. A friend has reached out and said she would like some to give as gifts for Christmas presents, so I'm just going to make some and we'll see what happens. with those. So that's my tea towels. Oh, and I should have said I work on a rigid heddle loom, and I always buy, I say always because I have a few looms, and I buy Ashford Wheels and Looms, who are based in New Zealand. It's a family run firm, really nice. If anybody's got any weaving issues or you're a beginner, I recommend their tutorial videos either on their website or I think they might be on YouTube as well, but check them out. Right, so that's the weaving. With regards to other weaving, whilst I'm waiting for the more cotton to arrive, I walked up the blanket for a loom. I walked up the big loom for a blanket at the weekend. So that is probably 80% of the way there. I was going to try and finish it before today, but I thought, nah, save something for next week to show you. So I'm making a sort of a scrappy throw, as it were. It's going to be around about the same size as the habitation throw, which that's actually, I believe, 40 inches square. So I'm doing the blanket, it's going to be about 38 by 42 because I thought it'd be nice and slightly rectangular. So I've been working on that on the big loom, on my 48-inch loom, which is currently in the kitchen because I ran out of space in here. You can see, look, I've got the sewing machine out over there, and I've got all my my art and my journaling stuff on this desk. So if I wanted to weave, I have to go into the kitchen. Anyway, hopefully I'll have that to show you next week. Right, okay, next finished object. Again, this has been on Instagram, so forgive me if you've seen it, but do you remember last week I was making the pumpkin patch beanie, which was a pattern by Lisa Seifert of DoleValleyGirlKnits. Ooh, so I think that was, oh, there's some numbers on there, but that was the pattern. And I had found a toddler. Yeah, I went out in the street and said, "Oi, you, I'm making your hat." Hannah's best friend, I suppose, Jordan, her little boy is 20 months. So I thought I would make him a little pumpkin patch beanie. I should also say, last week, I did say that Lisa had put an amazing picture up on Instagram of her 3 children. It's actually her grandchildren, her 3 grandchildren, because she looks so young. Who knew? So I'm sorry about that, Lisa. Or at least it was flattering. At least they weren't your children and I said you were their grandma. That could have been awkward. Anyhow, and I made it and I finished it last Thursday, actually, and Hannah was so excited that she invited Jordan and Regan around. Well, they came, parked on the drive, and we all met out there, and I gave him the hat. So I have got on my phone, you will have to just make do. So the hat itself is done. That was it. It's so cute. And then obviously we had to have cutie patootie pictures. And this is Regan, who's wearing the hat. Look at that. It's so cute. Hannah's holding him there. You can just see her on the edge of the picture. And then I think there's another one, a really good one. Yeah. Very difficult to get pictures of a toddler, isn't it? So there you are. And you can see the little stem at the back. So cute. I so love that. And as I said last week, it's fake faux cables. It's not cable. So you can see on there, it's a yarn over. Where it looks like it's twisted, it's actually a yarn over. So if you don't like cables, don't worry, it's very simple, a very straightforward pattern to knit. So much so that I actually knit something else using it, which I will share with you in just a second. So pattern details. Oh, I should say I got sent by a lovely viewer, Di. She reached out to me and said, because I said I didn't have any pumpkin project bags, and she said, I've just made a couple, I'd love to send you one. So she sent me this, look at that. And it's got this sort of faux leather oops, drawstrings, which makes it really easy to pull out and open up, and then it's got the bright orange inside. Thank you so much, Di, that was so kind of you. So I used this, I think, we had a chat about it last week. I used Stylecraft DK. I was going to weigh this before. I think there's probably, I would say, that was 100 grams ball. There's going to be probably about 70 or 80 grams there still, I reckon. I mean, at the very least 50, maybe 30. No, I just, I will weigh it because I'm going to actually give this away, which sounds, it's Tatiana's skein of yarn, but I'll tell you why in a moment. So yeah, Stylecraft DK in the Spice colourway, and it was great. It works wonders. I have no problem with the feel of it. If you're interested in what I feel about acrylic yarn, then have a look at last week's episode. We also actually have a thread in the Ravelry Group about knitting with acrylic yarn, and it's really interesting. It's just an ongoing chat really about people's thoughts and practicalities versus eco concerns versus cost versus other alternatives. So if you're interested in that, and you know, I put up some suggestions for a more budget-friendly washable yarns. So do drop in to the chat on the acrylic yarn thing on the Ravelry Group. But I will weigh that. I'm not going to go and do it now, but I'm fairly certain that's a minimum of 50 grams there. And the reason it's not more, because that hat would have probably weighed about 10 grams. Do you know what I did? I did reknit it, but that's what I made. Ta-da! This is, oh there, this is my pumpkin. Oh, come on, point it the right way. There we go. These are meant to be like vines, because I had some and I thought they looked quite effective. I'm not sure if they look good on camera, but these are like the roots and the vines coming out. There you go. So I've done all that, all the same stitches, done the top, and I've now got another pumpkin to add to my collection. Yay! So what I did here with this one is I basically, what did I do? I knit the, I can't actually remember what size I knit. I think I might have knit the 6-month-old one, or is it the newborn? Probably the newborn, because I've cast on a few stitches. Easy. So I cast on the stitches for the newborn hat. I knit it. I didn't do the rib of the hat. I just went straight into the pattern. Knit up 1, 2, 3, 5 or so repeats, which you'd do for the hat, and then did the decreases. And then once it was done, I ran some yarn around the bottom and pulled it, gathered it in like that, stuffed it, and then just I actually have pulled it in so that you get that kind of pull in bit there for the fruit of the vegetable. That's the bottom with the roots coming out. I also held the yarn double in this one because I was stuffing it. I wanted it to be slightly denser, a bit thicker, so that you wouldn't see the stuffing in it. And you really don't see the stuffing in there at all. And I went up in a couple of needle sizes. It was quite hard on my hands, to be honest. And I used DPNs as well. May as well just lay down on a bed of nails and be done with it. But it was worth it. It's so cute. I so love this. So that's going to be my pumpkin. Is going to sit, I don't know whether it will sit in my kitchen or on my desk. But the great thing is, obviously, that I got that from the original hat pattern. So Lisa, brilliant. What a great versatile pattern. Lisa has offered to give away a copy of this pattern, which I think is really lovely. Like I say, it's the sizes, it does go from newborn to adult, and it's knit in worsted weight yarn, although as I said with mine I used a DK, but just check your gauge, dare I say it. And it barely takes, oh, she says here, look, it takes approximately 65 to 150 yards total, depending obviously on the size you're doing it. So yes, Lisa has offered to give a pattern away to one of our lovely viewers, and if that viewer should so want and not have to buy it, provided you're in this country, I think. If you're abroad, it probably wouldn't be worth me sending it out to you. I will rewind this nicely. I'm happy to pass on the rest of this yarn. So if you want the spice, Stylecraft, if you've got some and you win this, just say, no, it's fine, I don't need it. But if you would like that, so you don't have to buy yarn especially, that's the colour, as you can see how it knits up. I will happily send this on to you as well. So I will open a chatter thread in the podcast group. We'll do it in the podcast, in Ravelry Group. We'll do it in the Ravelry Group this week. And I will put a prompt in there just to say perhaps who you would like to knit that for, or whether you would like to knit it. And then next week I will draw the prize and I'll get Lisa to send you the pattern out. So that's it, the pumpkin patch beanie. Lisa has quite a lot of other designs as well, which are really beautiful, so do check those out. She is DoleValleyGirlKnits on Instagram and on Ravelry, but again, I'll put the link down below. So yeah, if you'd like to win that pattern, then jump over to the Ravelry group. Not now, because you're watching me, and just sit still. So that was that finished object. Now, along the lines of sewing, I've been a bit twitchy with the old sewing machine this week actually. I've done quite a few things. I went up to bed one night. I didn't feel like reading my book, so I grabbed one of my craft books, and it was this one that I got given a couple of years ago, called Half Yard Christmas by Debbie Shaw. And she has a lot of books out, a lot of craft books out, and this was a gift. And at the time when I got this, I wasn't doing a lot of sewing, but it was great. But anyway, I started flicking through that and I found a pattern that I wanted to make. And while I had the sewing machine out of something else, I thought, do you know what? I'm going to have a go at this. So in best tradition of Clara Peggotty, I used scraps and just threw myself in it and had a go. And are you ready? Put me the right way, woman. Look, there you go. We have a gnome. Are they called tomties or something? I'm not sure, but anyway, I keep holding things right in front of me. Look, it looks like the hat's going up my nose. Sorry. So there he is. So it was a bit fiddly, partly because it's the first time I've made one, and partly because I made it half the size that the pattern said, because I just wanted to use these particular scraps. But he's cute, isn't he? He's a cutie. And then I used locks. I've got wool locks from my spinning basket there, so he had proper hair. The only issue is the nose. I'm struggling with the nose at the moment because he's got a bead as a nose, which I found in my drawer. So that's why it's green. But of course it says you can stitch the nose on. I've glued it on, but he's got a hole in the top and the bottom. He's got nasal issues. He'd have a really drippy nose if he got a cold. But in any event, there are going to be more of these in my future. I can tell you that now. I did buy some fabric to make bigger ones. So I'm going to make a full-size one. In fact, I might even upsize it a bit to make a bigger one. But so cute. So the pattern, I got that from the Debbie Shaw Half Yard Christmas book. Now, what I've done also with him, which is a little bit different, and it relates to what I've made next, he's actually scented. So he smells of cinnamon and ginger. Oh my goodness. That is nice. Maybe that's why I'm sniffy, surrounded by cinnamon. So what my next make is related to that, which is, I decided again, because that's what you do, I wanted to make some scented little sachets for my project bags. I had thought I might make some and put in the shop. I thought I would give them as gifts. I'm doing some swaps with people and pop one in with a swap. Quite often when you get nice yarn from Yarn Dies, sometimes they'll pop a little lavender sachet in with the yarn, won't they, which is really lovely. But I decided I wanted to make some Christmassy or some autumnal smelling ones. So again, I have posted about this on Instagram, not the details, just the pictures. But I grabbed some fabric scraps, and then I found some recipes on the internet, as you do, for how to make the fillings for these. And I made these sachets. And look at this fabric. Hang on. Look at those pussycats. So this is, fortunately, this is from my stash, and this is the fabric. Look at that one. How cute is that? This is fabric Hannah used to make masks. And the way you cut out the mask from the fat quarters left the perfect square for me to cut up for these. It was brilliant. Couldn't have planned it better. Look at, oh, that little one there. So cute. And then on this one, I decided it might be nice to just decorate it, so I popped a little button in the middle. So these are sort of little ravioli pouches. And I've made 6. Oh no, I had something to show you on my desk, and now it's, oh well, never mind, muck that up. Yeah, I made 6, and I thought it would be really nice to maybe pile them in 3 and tie them with a ribbon and give them as a gift like that. And then these can go in, obviously in clothes. I'm doing it again. I'm wondering. Put them in clothes drawers, or to keep them with your socks or with your hand knit clothes, or just simply in your yarn stash. And these are cinnamon, ginger and orange. And they are filled with, and in fact, if anybody's interested, I could do a little show you how. Kelly, talking to you. Basically, you use a carrier of some sort, and I used rice. So you use white rice because it absorbs the oil. Then you can either put the fresh herb or the dried herbs in, or you can use essential oils. So I've got a mixture in here. I've got dried orange peel with rice and with some cinnamon essential oil and a few splashes of ginger as well to give it that real warm feeling. And it's amazing, I tell you. They smell so good. So good. So yeah, that's my 6 of those. And then I may have bought a bit more fabric because I thought I want to make more of these. I want to make them and give them away, or as to presents, or I want to make them, and I have to say I keep wondering about whether to put them in my Etsy shop, but they're so simple. It'll be easy if you make them, to be honest, for you, you know, and you get the fun of making them, don't you? But we'll see. I was chatting to a friend who shall remain nameless, but if she's watching, you know who you are, who said, wouldn't it be great if you could have something like cedar wood essence on them, because that's obviously a natural moth repellent. And I thought, what a brilliant idea. So I made some more and infused them with cedar essential oil and some dried rosemary, and I bought some Mary Poppins fabric. How cute is that? It's so lovely. And I've deliberately done this. It's a bit like sweet and sour. So that's kind of sweet, cinnamony, gingery. And this is cedar. Things we think about. And then it gets even more exciting, because then I made a hanging one. Look at that. So these would be perfect to hang in your stash or in your knitted hand knit drawer, or wherever you keep your woolens. Or yeah, like I say, just pop them in your stash and they will hopefully, I say, no guarantees here, but they do smell very cedary, and hopefully they will deter the moths. And then just as an experiment, I made a third one. And I made a heart, and I put a ribbon on that one and put a little button on it. So Mary Poppins in pink and very dark brown is the cedar, the scented cedar sachets. Scented cedar sachets. Oh, I'm doing well with my words, aren't I, this week? So I'm going to be making more of those. I've got some other flavours as well that I'm going to be doing. I bought some orange essential oil just to soup up the dried orange peel a little bit. And I also bought some vanilla. So I'm hoping to get some vanilla cookie scented ones as well. So yeah, really, really excited about these. Really enjoy making them. I'm doing this in the kitchen as well. All the cutting out and everything. I'm sewing them over there, but do. When you're married to a workaholic, who's then, when he gets home, he's ill, so he's too tired to actually do anything other than sit in the lounge, you get all the space of the house. It's a bit unkind, isn't it? I'm sorry about that. Okay, right, so they're the sewn bits, you'll be pleased to know. I was going to show you what's in front of me, but seeing as it was all set up and I've just knocked it. But it's something I found this week, as you do when you're going through your bits and pieces. I'll work on it and show you next week. There you go. Da, 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 da. No, it's not that, is it? Anyway, whatever music is suitable at that point. Okay, so I have another kind of FO come half FO, and I've realised that I need my sock blocker, which is on the wall opposite me. Excuse me just a sec. There we go, my Ainsworth and Prynne bunny blocker. Now, somebody did point out that I need a bigger size sock blocker. Yes, I do. I don't even know. I think maybe these are a medium. They look quite small actually, but they're certainly too small for my socks. But hey ho, you work with what you've got, don't you? Maybe I'll treat myself to another one some point. But I have finished sock number 1 of my Waving Lace socks by Evelyn A. Clark, or in other words, my pumpkin patch sock. Ta-da! There you go. It is done. How gorgeous is that? You probably can't see the sparkle on the camera, but it's sparkly yarn as well. So this pattern is by Evelyn A. Clark, and it's available through Interweave Knits, certainly in the Timeless Favourite Socks book I've showed before. Probably, if you went onto the Interweave website, they might have it as a downloadable pattern rather than buying the book. But in any event, that's it. You've got this lovely scalloped edge cuff. As I said last week, quite a deep heel flap, which is really comfortable for me actually. I'm going to do that next time I do a heel flap and gusset. I'm going to use 40 rows rather than 36. And then a standard round toe, wedge toe, isn't it? A wedge toe. The yarn is from, if you haven't remembered, from Ellie, Craft House Magic, and it was a sock set from her Pumpkin Pie Patch colourway. Now the thing about this was always going to be a bit dodgy, because as whether or not I would have enough yarn to knit 2 full socks. I kind of guesstimated that I would, but obviously this being a lace pattern, I thought it may take more or less yarn than I usually take. I weighed the yarn after doing this first sock. So out of the 50 grams of the ball of the pumpkin colourway, I have got 25 grams left. And out of the 20 gram ball of the contrasting colourway, I have got 10 grams left. Yes! Now, that's either Ellie being absolutely spot on. Because it's 50 grams, isn't it? Sorry, Ellie, you can't take credit for that, can you? Although, obviously, the weight doesn't always determine the absolute length, because if it weighs a little bit lighter than other people's sock yarn, you're going to get a little bit more length, aren't you? So yeah, we'll give Ellie some credit there. I talk so much rot sometimes. Anyway, hopefully, all being well, I have the perfect amount left to create sock number 2. And just to show you that I have all good intentions, I have cast on sock number 2. I did it straight away. As soon as I cast off that, I cast on and did the first row, the first round of sock number 2, so that I can get going on that one. Because these are, after all, my October socks. I have 3 pairs of October socks I want to get knit. So there you go. Waving lace sock. Do I need to leave that on? I can leave that on that for now. The other thing I was working on that I mentioned I had just cast on last week was the Slouchy, what was it? Everyday Slouch, sorry, I had a bit of a, I've got notes and I got totally pickled with them. The Everyday Slouchy Beanie by Tristan Molina, who is also Dragon Hoard Yarns. It's a paid for pattern, but there's no clues on the front, so you can just see there she is looking all demure and sexy. And I had cast on last week, and I think I'd just started. I haven't done a super amount of this because it is just ongoing. It's stockinette, 100 bajillion miles of stockinette, and at the moment I'm on 2.25 needles, working with fingering weight yarn and mohair held double, and it's a bit of a killer, but we're getting there. And it's a turned brim, so I've got to do, well, I'm supposed to do 6 inches and then turn the brim, then I can go up to to bigger needles, which will obviously be a bit more enjoyable, but I've still got to do that. So if I show you the progress I have made so far, it's all rolled because it's a rolled brim. No, there you go. Look at that. I think that's coming up really nicely. It's such a pretty yarn. On this side, there's probably, it's actually quite even, the amount, oh, if I can hold it properly, there you go. So what I've got here, so you'll see there, I've just put the pearl round in. So when you do a folded brim, you knit stockinette, then you put a pearl round in, then you knit the same amount of stockinette, and then you turn it up, and then the pearl edge becomes almost like a picot edge, but not quite, of the hat, and it gives you a point to show that it's even all the way round. So I'm just plodding away on that. There's no honking great hurry. The yarn I'm using, so the mohair silk is Isager, and I just bought black there, nothing exciting there, I think it's just called black, colour 30, oh well, so that was the silk mohair, that's the tag. And then the fingering weight, the colourway, is this colour. So it's kind of a really dark charcoaly grey, but with oranges, yellows, undyed, a brown. Oh, look, that's quite a good way. And that is from Down Sheepy Lane, and that is the Pumpkin King colourway. I said I was doing well with my words tonight. The Pumpkin King colourway. And it's part of Debbie's Nightmare Before Christmas collection, which I think she's going to be having in the shop, obviously right through to Christmas. But I think that was really good when you're knitting for someone who wants dark. But if you look again how it's interplaying with the mohair, it's actually really, really nice. So I went for a black mohair. You could go for grey over that, but I wanted dark with just splashes of colour because it's for someone who doesn't do a lot of colour, basically. So yes, that's pootling along. Hopefully by next week I will have turned that brim and be on to the main body of the hat. Right, what else? I have a new cast on to share with you. I'll tell you what, on it like a car bonnet this week, mates. In one of my own crazy bags. This is one of my crazy project bags with a pom-pom, obviously. And it's got a Dotty. That's quite appropriate, actually, for the yarn. It's got a Dotty black and grey inner. And this is hand woven by me and sewn. And this is all wool roving. And it's really furry and squishy. So yeah, I made a couple of these last year because I like playing with things like that. You'd never have guessed, would you? So this is my third pair of October socks. So I've got the waving lace pumpkin socks. I've got the Goosebumps blueberry waffle socks, which I'm not going to bother showing you this week because I've turned the heel, but I haven't done a huge amount on the leg. And then I had, if you remember, this red and navy striped BFL from the Dotty Wool Co, which I got in last month. So it came in a skein, it didn't come in a gobstopper ball, and I wound it in split the skein. So you can just see the colours, navy and red. I think there's something really great about navy and red. I think they look so good together. And I cast on the other evening, and look how far I've got. There. Ta-da! Now I think they are just awesome. Sorry. I bore myself on this podcast, so I have to make silly faces. Hang on. We're in a bit of a tingle-tangle. There we go. There. Oh, I just think they're wonderful. Well, you can tell I sat down just a couple of evenings. Gary and I sometimes would just watch an hour's episode of something of an evening. That's Henry. Obviously felt he hadn't had his presence noticed during the podcast so far. And yeah, that was 2 episodes of Lie to Me, which is quite old, but it's a Tim Roth show. But I love those. I was going to do them originally toe up and just make them as long as I could, but I do make my socks quite long anyway. I make them about 7 inches. So, and I don't know, I just didn't feel like casting on toe up, quite frankly. So I did cuff down. But they are wonderful. I'm loving those. And it's really nice to have a pair, because my other 2 pairs of socks are patterned. It's really nice just to have a stockinette pair, a plain pair, vanilla pair. That's what I was looking for, vanilla pair to work on. So that's that. I do have a plan for my next skein that I am going to cast on, which actually is here. It's a Christmas yarn, because I thought once I've done those 3 pairs, I can get a Christmas pair going. And this is, and I don't think I've shown you this. Oh, I got hair on it, excuse me. This is a couple of years old actually, because it's Debbie's old label, Down Sheepy Lane. Have I shown you this before? and this is Another Blooming Christmas, which she did kind of at my request. We always watch the Raymond Briggs Father Christmas. It's not really a film, it's 20 minutes animated TV show thing. Filmette. It's a filmette. We always watch it Christmas Eve. That's the law in this house. And we always sing along. The song is Another Blooming Christmas. So I said to Deb, look, can you do one based on Father Christmas, on the Raymond Briggs Father Christmas? And she did, and she dyed this up. And it is amazing. And I have decided it's about time I cast it on. So my next cast on, most likely, of vanilla socks anyway, will be this colourway. But that, right. Okay, another quick sip. I was going to show you my Hexie cushion progress because I meant to show it last week, but I forgot. But how are we doing? It's over there. I'd have to get up. We know how I feel about getting up. Let's move on. I'm going to look at my notes. Let's have a look. I've talked about the blanket on the loom, haven't I? I think that's probably all I'll chat about today. Apart from, I was just going to mention about I've finally getting myself back round to Bible journaling, which is something most of you know already that I do, that I got really into sort of July, August time really, and discovered lots of new ways of studying the Bible and doing art, scripture related art, I suppose you'd call it. And then when I was doing my studying, I kind of just didn't have the headspace or the kind of the creative mindset to do much, which I really missed. And that was, as I said last week, one of the reasons I decided to stop my studying. But it's taking me a while to get back into the swing of things. Plus I've been a bit obsessed with sewing this week. But I did Illustrated Faith, who are an online company excuse me, in America. I follow them on Instagram. If you like art and if you like scripture related art or any sort of journaling, you should really check them out because some of the stuff they put up is amazing. It's so inspirational. And they have just released some new printables. So in their shop, they have a sort of a real life shop section, which I sadly cannot buy from because the postage from the USA is prohibitive really. But they also have a download section where you can download their artwork and you can print it then as many times as you like to use in your journaling. And I have quite a few. I've done it over the last few months. They're really reasonable. They're sort of between $2 and $5 each, and they have $2 Tuesdays where they put a load of stuff up just for $2, and then they have 20% off things, and so it's really worth keeping a lookout. So I found them doing they're doing a sort of autumnal one. They've released this week, and so my journaling this morning, yes, they provided some verses as prompts to look at study, and the basis was, falling in love with Jesus or love God as much as you can. And so the page I created, and again, this is just my take, this is just part of my creativity and my way of worshipping and Bible study, is I chose John 14 verse 15, and I chose Deuteronomy chapter 6 verses 4 to 6. And that's basically the page. So I started off with this one. Love God with all you've got. And then I wrote out the verse there. And then I came over to this one. And I did this on my computer and printed it. And then added some stamps, stamps there. And then wrote out a prayer underneath. And oh my goodness, I so enjoyed doing that. It was so lovely, starting to find my way again with that. Yeah. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your entire being and with all your might. Love that. So that's what I spent a couple of hours on this morning. And that's the thing, I don't like to rush it. I don't like to sort of charge in and do a quick prayer or a quick this or a quick that. And don't get me wrong, if that's all you've got time for, then that's what you should do for sure. God would much rather hear from us, wouldn't he, than not at all. But it was so lovely being able to sit down and do some real art and some creating, and get myself back in the flow of things, really. So that was that. I think that's probably all then I'm going to chat to you about. I'm going to do a book review, but first I'm going to go and get myself a cup of tea because I'm starting to yawn. I'm starting to feel like yawning. So I think a cup of tea will be good, and then I will come back and do the book review for you. But I'll tag that on as an end thing. So if you're not interested in the book review and book talk, then thank you for joining me today with all my bits and bobs, lots of sewing-y bits, and my pumpkin, and I know. Oh, and all my sachets, my lovely sachets. I will show you this again. I'm so excited about my Mary Poppins sachet. So pretty. I will continue with my knitting and with my crafting. I'm hoping next week I will have the throw to show you. That will be off the loom. I may have more tea towels, who knows. I will certainly have more knitting, and there'll probably be a bit more sewing. So for all those who are going to switch off now, I will say thank you so much for joining me. Have a good week wherever you are in the world. I'm sending warmest hugs to you, and remember to keep cheerful. Honey, off you get. Off you get, down on your bed. Come on. Off. Off. Okay. I really don't know whether you can see this or not. Hello? You want to come up? That's why you try and make room for a dog. Come on in. What? What is this butt doing just here? How can I possibly do a book review with you just there? Hey? Okay. Well, I seem to be trapped under a Henry. I'm really hoping you can see this. You can see me here. I thought I'd do this lovely book review from my lovely little nook, and now I don't even know if you can see me or whether I'm too dark. And we've got a lumpy spaniel you can't see as well. Honey's right down there at my feet, but there you go. You've got to love a bit of Henry, haven't you? Right, I'm going to do this in hope that you can see it and I don't have to re-record it. Don't you start getting fidgety, young man, eh? The book I wanted to talk to you about today is I Capture the Castle. It was written by Dodie Smith in, I made a note, it was published in 1949. And oh my goodness, I strongly, strongly commend this book to you. It is just wonderful. I don't know what it is. It kept coming up on the book list, the recommended book lists that I hunt down when I create my own book list, my TBR list, as Hannah would call it, my to be read list. And it kept coming up, and I thought, that's really weird. I Capture the Castle. And I thought, and it had a picture of, the book's got a picture of a girl sort of holding some cornflowers, and I don't know, there's just something about it. I thought it might not be my kind of book. But I had bought it. It was in my to be read library. And so the other day, because I've kind of lost my reading mojo a little bit, I thought, no, I'm going to give this a read. So I started it and, oh my goodness, I didn't want it to end. It was just wonderful. It was absolutely enchanting and just swept you along with it. So basically, it's kind of a children's book, but it isn't a children's book. Blah, blah, blah. Its charm defies classification into reader age groups. I read it aloud. This is the lady writing the introduction, who is someone I've not heard of, and I can't see, Valerie Grove. She said, I read it aloud to my daughters before their teens, but also gave copies to several men of 60 or more, 60 years old or more I guess, who were astonished to find themselves beguiled by the sharp wit and perception of Cassandra. I have never met a reader who wanted the story to end. And it's true, because, and the nice thing is, the ending is good, as in it's well done. I'm not going to tell you what the ending is, obviously. And it's a very quiet, gentle but beautiful story about a family who live in an old castle, basically. And I capture the castle, I think, is really, I don't know, I haven't read any reviews on that, but I think she's capturing it in her diary. It's written in journal format, and I think, or kind of through her writing in her journal, but also in, what narrative is it? Do you know, I've had a mental blank block on that now. Anyway, the back of the book says, Cassandra Mortmain lives with her bohemian and impoverished family in a crumbling castle in the middle of nowhere. She records her life with her beautiful bored sister, Rose, her fadingly glamorous stepmother, Topaz, her little brother, Thomas, and her eccentric novelist father, who suffers from a financially crippling writer's block. However, all their lives are turned upside down when the American heirs to the castle arrive, and Cassandra finds herself falling in love for the first time. Now, I object to a little bit of that. I think that's misleading, because her beautiful bored sister sounds like the sister is a bit of a waste of space, but she's not. Fadingly glamorous stepmother, again, that's a misdescribed, I think. Her little brother Thomas, well, her little brother is about 14. I think Cassandra is 17, I believe, and I think, a little bit older. But reading the back of that, I'm not sure I would have wanted to have read it, but it's so charming. Those of you who are literary inclined may know that obviously Dodie Smith was the writer of the 101 Dalmatians, which was picked up by Disney and obviously made extremely famous. She wrote 4 books for adults and 3 children's novels. Plus there's autobiographies she wrote, and she didn't die until the 90s actually, and she was in her 90s. But if you can forgive the waffle and the rabbiting on, and if you can see me, I would, as I say, I would strongly recommend this. It's just beautifully written, and it kind of taps into what you would have liked your dream childhood to be, or what you might have wanted your dream childhood to be. I think the reality probably wouldn't have been so good, but there's parts of it that make you think, oh yes, that would have been great, or even remember bits of your childhood that, you know, and the make-believe and the things you used to do. So I would thoroughly recommend it to you. Put it on your book list, grab a copy and have a read, and let me know what you think. Now what do I do? My cup of tea is there. I can't reach it. In fact, I can't reach anything. I can't turn the camera off. I can't do nothing. I can't do nothing with you there. No, that's it. Might as well have a doze.